Figures of speech. A figure of speech is something that is used to convey a deep or intense meaning. It is a word or phrase that means something more or something other than it seems to say, the opposite of a literal expression. A figure of speech is a type of figurative language that departs from conventional word order or meaning. When we use a figure of speech to explain a situation, the words and sentences become non-literal and do not convey what is actually happening, but rather give a feeling as to what is happening. Once we go through this lesson, we will be able to understand all essential figures of speech better. Types of figures of speech. There are various figures of speech, and the most important ones are alliteration, anaphora, antithesis, apostrophe, assonance, euphemism, hyperbole, irony, metaphor, metonymy, onomatopoeia, oxymoron, paradox, personification, pun, simile, synecdoche, understatement. Let us now understand each figure of speech in detail. Alliteration. Alliteration is usually the repetition of initial consonant sounds in two or more neighboring words or syllables, such as seven sisters or pickled peppers. For alliteration to be effective, alliterative words usually flow in quick succession. Alliteration does not refer to the repetition of consonant letters that begin words, but rather, the repetition of the consonant sound at the beginning of words. For example, the phrase, kids' coats is alliterative, though the words begin with different consonant letters. They produce the same consonant sounds. Usage. She sells seashells by the seashore. Please close your cluttered closet. Anaphora. Anaphora features the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive sentences, phrases, or clauses. This word repetition, at the beginning of each phrase in a group of sentences or clauses, is a stylized technique that can be very effective. Anaphora is used in a conversational way to express emotion and as a means of emphasizing or affirming a point or idea. Usage. Be bold. Be brief. Be gone. Go big or go home. Stay safe. Stay well. Stay happy. Antithesis. Antithesis is often used in everyday speech as a means of conveying opposing ideas in a concise and expressive way. The word antithesis, meaning absolute opposite, indicates when something or someone is in direct contrast, or the opposite of another thing or person. Thus, war is the antithesis of peace, wealth is the antithesis of poverty, and love is the antithesis of hate. Usage. No pain, no gain. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Speech is silver, but silence is gold. Apostrophe. Apostrophe is a figure of speech in which a speaker directly addresses someone or something that is not present or cannot respond in reality. It is utilized as a way for a character to express their internal thoughts and feelings to someone or something that is not able to respond. Apostrophe, the figure of speech, should not be confused with apostrophe, the punctuation mark. Usage. Chocolate, why must you be so delicious? 7, you are my lucky number. Love, who needs you? Assonance. Assonance most often refers to the repetition of internal vowel sounds in words that do not end the same. This figure of speech is a means of emphasizing important words in a phrase or line, as well as creating a sense of rhythm, enhancing mood, and offering a lyrical effect of words and sounds. We can use them in everyday speech for emphasis or to reflect the mood. Usage. Son of a gun. The cat is out of the bag. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Keep your eyes on the prize. Euphemism. Euphemism is designed to replace phrasing that would otherwise be considered harsh, impolite, or unpleasant. Euphemism is a figure of speech commonly used to replace a word or phrase that is related to a concept that might make others uncomfortable. This literary device allows for someone to say what they mean indirectly without using literal language, as a way of softening the impact of what is being said. Usage. Porcelain throne is used to refer to toilet. Economically challenged is used to refer to the poor. Between jobs is used to refer to the unemployed. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is a figure of speech that creates heightened effect through deliberate exaggeration. It is often a boldly overstated or exaggerated claim or statement that adds emphasis, without the intention of being literally true. We can use hyperbole as a figure of speech to make something seem larger or more important than it actually is. Usage. I'm so hungry that I could eat a horse. That cat is the cutest thing alive. She loves him more than life itself. Irony. Irony is a figure of speech in which contradictory statements, or situations, reveal a reality that is different from what appears to be true. It refers to the use of words to convey a meaning that is opposite of what is said. Irony often stems from an unanticipated response, also known as verbal irony, or an unexpected outcome, also known as situational irony. Usage. Coming home to a big mess and saying, "It's great to be back." This is an example of verbal irony. A fire station that burns down. This is an example of situational irony. A comedian telling an unresponsive audience, "You all are a great crowd." This is an example of verbal irony. A t-shirt with a Buy American logo that is made in China. This is an example of situational irony. Metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that makes a comparison between two non-similar things. Metaphor is a means of asserting that two things are identical in comparison, rather than just similar. This is useful for using specific images or concepts to state abstract truths. Usage. Laughter is the best medicine. He's buried in a sea of paperwork. The criminal has blood on his hands. She has been living in a bubble. Metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which one object, or idea, takes the place of another with which it has a close association. It literally means change of name. It is a great way of replacing an object, or idea, with something related to it, instead of stating what is actually meant. Usage. I met him at the reception, when he took me for a spin during a slow song. In this sentence, spin is metonymy for dance. While I'm sleeping, my dog tries to steal the covers. In this sentence, covers is metonymy for bed linens, blankets, quilts, etc. Today at lunch, I sat with the jocks. In this sentence, jocks is metonymy for athletes. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is defined as a word that imitates the natural sounds of a thing. It creates a sound effect that mimics the thing described, making the description more expressive and interesting. In addition to the sounds they represent, many onomatopoeic words have developed meanings of their own. For example, the word whisper not only represents the wispy or breathy sound of people talking quietly, but also describes the action of people talking quietly. Usage. The sack fell into the river with a splash. The rustling leaves kept me awake. The buzzing bee flew away in a while. Oxymoron. Oxymoron is a figure of speech pairing two words together that are opposing or contradictory. Oxymoron has the effect of creating an impression, enhancing a concept, and even entertaining the reader. Usage. Friendly fire. Virtual reality. Silent scream. Close distance. Random order. Paradox. A statement containing a paradox appears to be contradictory at first, but upon reflection, makes sense. This device is commonly used to allow us to discover an underlying logic in a seemingly self-contradictory statement or phrase. A paradox allows us to understand concepts in a different and even non-traditional way. Usage. Do the thing you think you cannot do. If you don't risk anything, you risk everything. The pen is mightier than the sword. The louder you are, the less they hear. Personification. Personification is a figure of speech in which an idea or thing is given human attributes and feelings, or is spoken of as if it were human. Personification is a common form of metaphor in that human characteristics are attributed to non-human things. It is an effective use of figurative language because personification relies on imagination for understanding. Usage. My alarm yelled at me this morning. My phone is not cooperating with me today. The cupboard groans when you open it. Pun. A pun involves words with similar or identical sounds, but with different meanings. A pun is a literary device that is also known as a play on words. The play on words also relies on a word or phrase having more than one meaning. Puns are generally intended to be humorous, but they often have a serious purpose as well. Usage. I like archery, but it's hard to see the point. It's easy to like musicians because they are very upbeat. The population of Ireland is always Dublin. The wedding cake had me in tears. Simile. A simile is a figure of speech in which two essentially dissimilar objects or concepts are expressly compared with one another through the use of like or as. A proper simile creates an explicit comparison between two things that are different enough from each other, such that their comparability appears unlikely. Usage. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Quote by Albert Einstein. Life without love is like a tree without blossoms or fruit. Quote by Khalil Gibran. Love is like a friendship caught on fire. Quote by Bruce Lee. Synecdoche. Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a part of something is used to signify the whole or vice versa. It allows for a smaller component of something to stand in for the larger whole in a rhetorical manner. Synecdoche is a helpful device to express a word or idea in a different way by using an aspect of that word or idea. Usage. All hands on deck. Faces in the crowd. Lend me your ears. You have my heart. Understatement. An understatement is a figure of speech used to intentionally make a situation seem less important than it really is. An understatement usually has an ironic effect, as an equally intense response is expected in severe situations, but the statement in response is the opposite of what was expected. Usage. It rained a bit more than usual. This sentence is describing an area being flooded by heavy rainfall. He is not too thin. This sentence is describing an obese person. It was okay. Said by the student who got the highest score on the test. Thank you.